Well, I've seen it all now. There's only two choices. Either Donald Trump has completely lost his mind and his wits and can't remember the name Ghislaine Maxwell, doesn't seem to ring a bell, or he's lying to the American people again about his fingerprints all over Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator in the child sex trafficking that lost your Supreme Court case. Because wouldn't you know it, there was a press conference on the day that the Supreme Court said, nope, bridge too far, even for us. We're not going to let Ghislaine Maxwell overturn her conviction on 5 counts related to child sex trafficking. Even the Supreme Court was like, yeah, we're not bailing out Donald Trump on that one. So we had a press conference, a presser, in which Donald Trump was asked point blank what was he going to do about the Ghislaine Maxwell case now that the Supreme Court had rejected it. Now, this is a guy, just to preface this for a minute, this is a guy who on prior occasions, and I'm going to show you several now, on prior occasions, of course, knew who Ghislaine Maxwell was and even said that he wished her well. Let's play the clip of somebody named Donald Trump who knew Ghislaine Maxwell, except when he was caught off guard and had to have the reporter repeat herself after the aftermath of the Supreme Court decision about Ghislaine Maxwell. So he's either he's off his rocker, or he is lying to the American people. You be the judge. Let's play the first clip of Donald Trump about Ghislaine Maxwell from several years ago. Play the clip.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, "I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is." Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
I don't know that, but I do know that
she has. She's been arrested for that. You know that.
Friend or boyfriend,
Epstein,
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people well. Good luck.
Seems like somebody that knows her pretty well. In fact, that's not the only time. We've got pictures, of course, of Donald Trump with or without Melania, with Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. We'll just show but a few of those. This is somebody who was one of his best friends, his best friend, Jeffrey Epstein, who would have been a convicted sex trafficker, and pedophile if he hadn't hanged himself or whatever happened to him in the Manhattan Correctional Facility. She went to trial because she was the only living survivor of that particular brand of co-conspiracy. Others are involved, we know it. Other people have their names lousy all over the files. Donald Trump. We don't know of the business relationship. We don't know of the sexual perversity, a perversion relationship between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. But we know that Donald Trump thought very highly of Ghislaine Maxwell, and she thought very highly of him because she was willing to lie under oath to Todd Blanche, the number 2 in the Department of Justice, when she said, Donald Trump, I never saw Donald Trump do anything untoward in front of women, in front of young girls. No, not that Donald Trump. Now remember, Michael Wolff, who's an investigative journalist, gave testimony, if you will, told our Legal AF colleagues on Court of History that he saw pictures in the Epstein safe laying around Epstein's dresser when he was doing interviews of Jeffrey Epstein for a possible book, and he saw photos of Donald Trump with young girls on his lap. And now all of a sudden, Donald Trump can't remember Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, let me help you ring a bell before I show you the clip. Ghislaine Maxwell was the person that you ordered Pam Bondi in the Department of Justice to go give immunity to, so she could give a queen for the day. A convicted child sex trafficker was given immunity while she's serving a 20-year sentence, not because she was a serial killer telling where all the bodies were buried, so she could try to help out Donald Trump. When that didn't work, or as part of the quid pro quo, she was sent and given a brand new minimum security facility, right? A spa, a federal spa, if you will, in Texas, which she doesn't deserve, having been in Florida. So she gets better digs. She gets better meals. I don't know what else happened. So that's Donald Trump. Remember, he told everybody he's the chief law enforcement officer of the United States. that he could know everything, but he doesn't know everything. That guy gave the command to Pam Bondi, who gave the command to the Department of Justice to give Ghislaine Maxwell a sweetheart deal. That's the same Ghislaine Maxwell that just a month or so ago, Donald Trump's favorite criminal defense lawyer, who's now his number 2 in the Department of Justice, Todd Blanche, went and gave and interviewed that Ghislaine Maxwell. So let's play the clip from yesterday when he's asked point blank, now that the United States Supreme Court has rejected her appeal, an appeal about whether she was going to get the benefit, like a third-party beneficiary of a non-prosecution agreement signed by Jeffrey Epstein with the Southern District of Florida. It had nothing to do with the criminal prosecution of her up in Manhattan. And the Supreme Court said, no, your appeal is over. Continue to serve your 20-year sentence, 5 counts, 12-0 jury beyond a reasonable doubt. And Donald Trump's asked point blank, the train is over. Her only hope for clemency or a pardon is you. Sir, what are you going to do? That name doesn't ring a bell. I haven't thought about that name in a long time. Why are we talking about this name? Let's play the clip.
Say it.
The Supreme Court is back and said that they rejected today an appeal by Ghislaine Maxwell to overturn her conviction. That means her only chance of getting out of prison is a pardon from you. Is that something you're...
Who are we talking about?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I haven't heard the name in so long. I can say this, that I'd have to take a look at it. I would have to take a look. Did they reject that?
She wanted to appeal her conviction.
And what happened?
They said that they were not going to hear her appeal.
I see. Well, I'll take a look at it. I will speak to the DOJ. I wouldn't consider it or not consider it. I don't know anything about it. So, but I will speak to the DOJ.
Why would she be a candidate for clemency, sir?
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to speak to the DOJ. I'll look at it. I have a lot of people who have asked me for pardons. I call him Puff Daddy has asked me for a pardon.
But she was convicted of child sex trafficking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to take a look at it. I'd have to ask DOJ. I didn't know they rejected it. I didn't know she was even asking for it, frankly.
Now, has he been drinking? Is he mad as a hatter? Is he crazy like a fox? Is he trying to make the narrative now be he's so distant from Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that name doesn't even ring a bell? Is that ringing true with the American people? I doubt it. More than 70% of the American people think he's mishandled the Epstein affair, the Epstein cover-up, the failure to disclose. They don't believe him when he says he wasn't a close personal friend of Jeffrey Epstein. They don't believe him when Donald Trump says that he did not submit that birthday card, that pornographic birthday card, handwritten and hand-typed, to be included by Ghislaine Maxwell in a 300-page birthday book. Who gets a 300-page birthday book on their 50th birthday? I had a 50th birthday party. I didn't get a 300-page birthday book. And everybody in the birthday book, all 300 people or whatever it is, all said, yep, that's mine. Nobody said that's a forgery, but Donald Trump, he's the lone victim of a forgery inside the book. So he lied to the American people. Nobody believes him on that. Nobody believes him that he didn't have a close personal relationship and friendship with Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell for that matter. And now he's just, who are you going to believe? Your lying eyes or me? Ghislaine Maxwell, that name rings a bell, but I'm really not, and I'll consider it, he said. I don't know. Well, the Department of Justice will have to make a record. I haven't ruled it out. So let me make this clear. Headline. Donald Trump has not ruled out giving a convicted child sex offender who ran a ring with her boyfriend, Jeffrey Epstein, to bring girls over so that Jeffrey Epstein could rape them. Hundreds of victims and survivors. And he's thinking of pardoning her. How low, I didn't think this was possible, how low Donald Trump has sunk, that he needs to have a convicted child sex trafficker vouch for his credibility and for his reputation. That's how much of the crapper his reputation is. The fact that he's even considering it, because his whole ruse has fallen apart because the Supreme Court wouldn't go along with it. He wanted the Supreme Court to grant her appeal, give her the right to appeal, hear the appeal, and then he could say, well, there's good people on both sides, right? There's good people on the victim's side, although he won't acknowledge them. Good people over here. She may be a victim herself. It's complicated. Like there's good people on both sides of the Holocaust. Yeah. The Nazis and the Jews and the gypsies and the homosexuals and others that were killed. There's good people on both sides, right? And I'm going to give her a pardon. See where that was going. And now Ghislaine Maxwell's lawyer, David Oscar Marcus, who's friends with Alan Dershowitz, who was Epstein's lawyer, he's screwed now. Because the whole campaign to rehabilitate Ghislaine Maxwell has fallen apart like a cake left out in the rain. And now if Donald Trump's going to give the clemency that he was just asked about, right? If he's going to give the clemency, he's going to have to now look the American people in the eye and say he gave Ghislaine Maxwell a pardon. Somebody who trafficked in girls. Look, he's giving a pardon or some sort of congressional or some sort of presidential medal to Ashley Babbitt, who was properly stopped by law enforcement, one lone bullet coming from a person who was charged with protecting the chamber of representatives from the attack by Jan 6ers. She broke through former military formation, threw her bag through the window, broke through the window. The only thing she just didn't know where she was. The only thing between Ashley Babbitt and a not yet cleared out of staff and elected officials chamber was that officer with a gun. And he did what he was supposed to do. And now Donald Trump's going to reward her and her family, going to give her $5 million, going to rewrite history. No, we see it. You can't rewrite the history that we're living. We see it. And that's why Donald Trump's being held accountable by the American people in the polling and soon to be at the polls. This is a disaster of epic proportion of the Trump administration. It's probably one of the worst presidencies other than Herbert Hoover, who plunged us into the Deep Depression, I can think of. And it just gets worse every day. Every day. It's a day, so it must be a new scandal. That's what's happening here. The economy in the crapper. Scandals. The Department of Justice destroyed and its reputation. The FBI destroyed and its reputation. Federal judges are the only things, along with our audience and public interest groups and attorneys general that are filing these lawsuits. The only thing we got left. As Donald Trump, in his dotage, can't place the name. Either he seriously can't place the name, and then we've got another problem of epic proportions bigger than Joe Biden, or he's feigning ignorance in a dramatic, theatrical way that nobody's buying. I'm glad you're here. I'm Michael Popok. Hit the free subscribe button for Legal AF. Come over to Legal AF Substack, do the exact same thing. And then let's meet back here. Welcome to Legal AF Tuesday. And I'll see you throughout the day with more reporting. I'm Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touches Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event, by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok Firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok Firm. fighting for your justice every step of the way.